If you're a US traveler, there is a major change that you need to be prepared for, because if you're not, this could mean not getting through TSA security and ultimately missing your flight. Starting May 7th, a real ID or any other acceptable form of identification is required to go through TSA for domestic travel. So the deadline is coming up soon, and in this video, we're going to talk about what a real ID is and how to get one. The real ID is a specific type of identification, either a driver's license or a state ID, that meets enhanced security standards enforced by federal law. So the real ID was birthed through the Real ID Act, which was passed by Congress in 2005. So 20 years later, it is coming into full effect. Starting May 7th, TSA will fully be enforcing the Real ID requirement for domestic flights. So this means that if you're flying domestically and you are used to using your state ID or your driver's license to go through TSA security, that ID now has to be a real ID. So what's important to note here is that this is just for domestic travel. So if you are traveling internationally, you still need your passport. If you don't have a real ID yet and you don't have time to get one before May 7th, don't worry, because you can still get through TSA security with any other acceptable form of identification, like a passport card, or a DHS trusted traveler card, like a global entry card, for example. This is what I personally use when I go through security for domestic flights. For a full list of acceptable IDs for TSA security, check the description box for the link. But if you check that list and you don't have any of those IDs, then you need a real ID before May 7th. So how do you get one? To get a real ID, you need to go to your local DMV and bring the following: one identity document, like a birth certificate or a passport, proof of a social security number, like a social security card or a W-2 or 1099, and two documents showing proof of address. So something like a utility bill or a rental lease agreement or a mortgage. I will also leave in the description box a link to a list of acceptable real ID documents, but this list is for Georgia residents though, but I still wanted to include it as an example. So please make sure you're checking your state requirements, because I think some states might require different documentation. If you are not a US citizen, but you have something like a green card with permanent residency, you also can get a real ID. You would need to go to your local DMV and bring the same documents that I was just talking about and proof of lawful status. But please, please, please make sure you are checking your specific state's requirements and checking with your local DMV, because I have heard that different states are requiring different things, and this seems to be causing a lot of confusion on people's statuses. So make sure that you are asking questions, researching before you dive in. And if you are an international traveler and you are coming to the US or you're passing through the US, don't worry, your passport is more than enough to get through security. So now, before you go gathering documents and heading to the DMV, you might actually have a real ID and not even know it. They have been rolling out the real ID for a few years now. So if you've had to change your license in the past few years, you might actually have a real ID. Here's how to check. The real ID has a black or gold star in the top right corner. So check your ID to see if that star is there. If the star is there, then you're good to go. You have a real ID and there's nothing that you need to do. There are a lot of changes coming up in travel in the next few years. And if you want to learn more about the changes that are coming if you're traveling to Europe next year, then definitely make sure you check out this video right here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.